Hello everyone and welcome back to the Common Sense Crypto channel. As with you always, this is Rich doing another video today on XRP. So I hope you're all having a wonderful day today wherever you are in this great world. We're gonna talk about XRP. And once again, this is the one-day chart. We're sitting here just above 63 cents. It was a green day for XRP, and people right away were speculating, oh, this is pushing the price of XRP. The AMM is pushing the price of XRP. What's actually happening is that we're still moving with Bitcoin. The charts look almost identical, and that's going to continue to happen until we push into alt season, or unless some major catalyst happens for XRP, whichever comes first. Now this comes from Ripples, and I thought this was great and I wanted to share it with all of you. This cycle will likely end early 2025. After that, we are in unknown territory. If you have a huge rotation in alts from Bitcoin and XRP pumps, take some money off the table. After regulations drop, we don't know the landscape or how things will play out. My point is, if they crash the system, you don't want to be others' exit liquidity. Pay yourself first. And that's what I've been saying as well for quite a while now. Make sure you take some profit and have a game plan. And my game plan changed a little bit. Initially, I was planning on selling 10% of my XRP between $10 and $12. Now I think I'm only going to sell 5% between those price points, because I see everybody talking about the $27 XRP again. And you know, that prediction isn't new. That actually goes back to 2020. And it didn't happen in 2021 like everybody was predicting. Most likely because we were tied up with the SEC and that case was still very early. This time around, I think it's going to be much different because we now got legal clarity for XRP, and that could be very game-changing. So 5% between $10 and $12, another 10% around $20. And then I want to see what's playing out at the same time. What kind of real-world events are happening? You know, is utility starting to kick in for some of these cryptocurrencies? Where are we at that point with ISO as well? What's the narratives that are going on? A lot of things play a factor once we get to those higher prices. But I plan on sidelining 5% of the 10% that I take in profit around $20. This way, if the market pulls back more than I think it will, I will buy back in at a cheaper price. But I still don't see those major pullbacks that people are calling for. And you see that every day on X. And I think a lot of people are going to get wrecked because of that. Think about it. If XRP, say, hits $25, right? Everybody's going to dump their entire bag, expecting this major pullback to happen. But say we pull back $2 or $3, and then all of a sudden we move up very fast to closer to $30, because that could very well happen, especially if utility is driving the price by then. But, you know, right now, this is all still speculation. I'm just giving you an idea of what I plan to do if XRP achieves these price points. And I don't plan on cashing out into US dollars either. I think I'm going to cash out into USDC and then see what happens next with the price of XRP. But I'm going to be a long-term XRP holder no matter what. I'm never going to sell all my XRP, but definitely take profit. The issue has been identified. The discrepancy affected how the DEX payments engine routes liquidity through AMM pools and order books in some complex payment path scenarios. We're reviewing the proposed fix now with the community, which will then need to go through the amendment voting process. So it looks like what's going on is they found the problem with the AMM, and they also have a fix for it. But now it's got to go through a voting phase. And people are saying, is this going to take a long period of time? And Ripple has not given any answers on that yet. But at least they were quick to fix the AMM. This comes from Smoke. Institutional crypto infrastructure will become the new normal. Institutional adoption of cryptocurrency infrastructure is set to become business as usual in 2024. Can't make it up. And you see it right here. Institutional adoption of cryptocurrency infrastructure is set to become business as usual. And at that point, we're going to see a lot of adoption happen throughout this year as well. And where are we going to be with adoption by the end of this year? Look at how Fed now plans on having 50% of banks and credit unions on board by then. You know, other countries are also pushing adoption at the same time. Look what's going on in the EU. Now, I think in the EU, they're taking adoption by force because they're eliminating people using large amounts of cash at the same time. They're already trying to phase cash out over there. And you know there's going to be incentives to use the digital euro. A lot of things are going to play out this year, and that's going to affect my thinking when it comes to cashing out some of my XRP. Still don't think a super cycle is incoming. Now, I talked about this in a video yesterday, and a lot of people were saying, I don't see a super cycle for XRP. But it is going to be a super cycle event. I think Bitcoin is going to hit some crazy numbers. I think it's definitely going to break above 100K, maybe even closer to 150K, like people are expecting. But you see super cycles of the past shaping today's economy. Electrification, that was back in the 1930s. Industrialization, world GDP increased 2.5x from 1950 to 1970. Globalization, trade as a percentage of the world GDP increased 20%. That was from the 1980s to the 2000s. Accounts for plus 20% of GDP growth, internet and software from the early 2000s to today. Energy transition, significant energy transition spend expected in coming decades. You know how much money they're going to spend on energy transitioning? You already see it happening. Governments are throwing trillions of dollars at this. And that's why I always said, if your cryptocurrency is green, it's going to make you a lot of money over time. And if it's tied to carbon credits and renewables, that's even going to push the value of your cryptocurrency even higher. And it's not just XRP. Look what's going on around HBAR right now. And that, through Dovu, that's going to be absolutely massive. But it's other cryptocurrencies as well, XLM, XDC, Algo. And as time goes on, we're going to see how big that market actually becomes. But when I first initially talked about this, I was talking about a super cycle this year for crypto as well. And you could see that because the technology is also pushing crypto at the same time. Every industry out there wants to get involved with crypto. Some are very reluctant because of volatility. Others are reluctant because of the lack of regulations. I still think regulations are going to come this year, even in the United States. And as that happens, all of a sudden, we're going to have mass adoption of crypto happening at the same time we're in a major bull run. That could create a massive super cycle for crypto. This was an interesting read on connections with the IMF. Now, in this article, Christine Lagarde talks about multiple things. She even talks about ordering a pizza, domestic payments using crypto. But what she does talk about here is that they want to keep the central banks relevant. They want to put the central banks even above the commercial banks. Remember I said the central banks don't care about the commercial banks, these small banks that we see all the time collapsing out. It's because the central banks aren't going to rush in and save them. They're going to swallow them up over time. What we're going to be left with at some point is central banks and a handful of other banks like JP Morgan and let's see, Goldman Sachs, HSBC. But at that same time, these central banks are going to be transacting with each other, and in between is going to be XRP. And Lagarde, she absolutely loves RippleNet and XRP technology. She's talked about it multiple times in the past, but she also talks about pushing towards a cashless society and how to achieve the middle ground between cashless payments and privacy. In my opinion, there's no middle ground, not without actual privacy laws put in place first. Something has to keep these central bankers from watching all of your transactions and making sure that they can't shut off your money at will if you're buying things that they don't agree with. But that's what's going on. That major transformation's happening, and it all leads back to XRP. And it's going to lead to bank collapses all the time. It's going to be headline news in 2024. Like I said in yesterday's video, right now it's the calm before the storm. All of a sudden, you're just going to start watching bank after bank collapse out. And I think it's going to happen by design because there's no safety net now for the banks. IMF, once again, look at what they talk about here. If we can't regulate Bitcoin out of existence, then the objective should be to steer it towards renewable sources. Like I said, they see a major problem with Bitcoin, a few of them actually. One is its energy consumption, and they're never going to use it. It's too expensive to use. But say Bitcoin does live out through their regulations that they plan to put in place, and Bitcoin is still with us. What's the path forward? Renewable energy sources. And again, that could push the price of some cryptocurrencies that are tied to carbon credits, renewable energy sources, things like that. You see the whole shift happening right in front of you. I'll just leave this here. Document from JP Morgan discussing Ripple and XRP, showing how they intend to use AMM. This comes from Living Legacy. And you see this, and this was all part of a white paper. And a lot of talk was going on about this earlier today. People were saying, well, there's no mention of XRP or Ripple here. There actually is in the same paper. You see, Ripple, cross-border payment infrastructure, intended to use cryptocurrency XRP as settlement instrument. Now you're starting to realize how big an AMM can actually be. You see, Commercial Bank A receives funds in CBDC through the liquidity pool. Then you see, pays out in CBDC from the liquidity pool to Commercial Bank F. And in between, that's where the AMM would be. And that's why I said we don't know how big the AMM is going to be yet for the price of XRP. But I think it's going to be gradual upward movement over time. And we're going to get a good look at how big that could actually become over the course of the next couple of weeks. Because we're going to start to see bigger players utilizing the AMM as well. But like I said, you know, you're an XRP investor. We see so much craziness going on right now because all the banks are rushing into the digital age. And at the same time, they're fast tracking everything. And I think BRICS is what's really fast tracking all of it, you know, because they're pushing ahead of all these other countries. But as this continues to happen throughout 2024, a major run-up's going to happen for XRP. And you have to have a game plan in place and stick to your game plan. Unless you see something that could change the price points for XRP, then you got to adjust your game plan. And I just wanted to share mine with all of you today, because a lot of people ask me about that. You know, why would you sell like 10% between $10 and $12 if you expect the price to go to $27? I don't expect the price to hit $27 and that's it for XRP. I just plan on taking profit along the way. And I'm a long-term holder, even beyond that, because I want to see XRP reach its full potential. But until it all happens, stay patient, stay positive, and let's get rich together. With that said, I'm going to wrap up this video. I want to thank you all for watching. I appreciate all of you. I'll see you in the next one. Have a great night.